Hello, everyone. Welcome to Travel Tuesday. I'm Sheila Gallant-Halloran with Lush Life, an affiliate of Vision Travel, Direct Travel. I am here today with my good friend and colleague, Neil Dudley from Alma Waterways. And I was just saying, this is probably the 76th iteration of my Travel Tuesdays. We've been doing these since the pandemic started. It's a great way to connect with clients and keep travel in the forefront of your mind when we couldn't travel, but now we can start to travel again. Yay! And I was just talking to Neil about some fantastic value offers we have for Alma Waterways. This is tremendous. Neil's going to go through them. Of course, we have Alma Waterways that you can book in 2023 or into 2024 even. And there are some fantastic offers for the Mekong, the Chobe River in Africa. You know, there's a whole bunch and some really exciting ones coming in Colombia too, as well as some of their 7 river journeys. And Neil will mention those. But today's purpose is really to talk about the very fantastic offers we have for Europe. So if you're looking to travel and you're looking to go in 2022, there is never a better time to take a quality product like Alma Waterways than there is right now. And with that, I will turn it over to Neil. Neil, thank you very much for joining. Neil is my business development manager with Alma Waterways. He and I have known each other for a long time, worked together for years, and I'm thrilled to have Neil back today. Thank you, Neil.
Thank you, Sheila. It's always fun to do these with you because I think of your 76, I think I've done a few of them with you at least. So
I think this is at least the third. Yeah.
I've got to be a high percentage in there. So it's all good. And as Sheila said, I've known Sheila for a long time. She knows that I've been around the river cruise world for about 15 years. So it's a product I truly love. And when I saw Sheila in Ottawa a couple of weeks ago at our advisor event, I mentioned this incredible offer and she and I decided, well, it's time to talk to you guys all about traveling this year because now that there's no more restrictions for Canadians to travel, it's really taken that last hurdle out. And I can tell you that our phones at Alma Waterways have really started ringing off the wall in the last few weeks with Canadians saying, I've been waiting, I want to go now. So we have an incredible deal, which we are going to tell you about today. I'm going to go through obviously a bit in general about Alma Waterways, focusing on Europe, but as Sheila mentioned, I am certainly going to touch on our other products that we have. And yes, if you are already booked for this year, not a problem. As Sheila mentioned, we have great early booking offers already set in place for 23 and 24. So let me just start going through a bit about our company. We are a family owned and operated company, 2 main families since our inception 20 years ago, and our birthday is on Canada Day. So there is our Canadian connection as well. You've got Rudy and Christine, husband and wife team from Germany and Austria. And of course, the Murphys, originally from Ireland, moved over to the US. So internationally owned and operated company. And Sheila, haven't you met Christine before?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Wonderful lady. Give you any time to talk about river cruising. And in fact, I caught her one time in Virtuoso and she sat down and spent an hour going through things with me and one of my colleagues who's on here today. Yeah.
So is it just Christine or was it Rudy as well that you met? Just Christine?
It was Christine. I've certainly met Gary many times. And of course, Alex, who's now working. I haven't met Rudy yet. No.
See, I like to mention that because I know for a lot of people, it seems very odd that owners of a company this size would actually be out at conferences, meeting all the advisors, but this is how interactive we are with our advisor community. So for those of you who've not been on a river cruise, you are going to have to go on and experience an incredible product. Now, of course, yes, we are cousins to our beautiful ocean cruising vessels out there, but I always like to show this slide for those of you who have not been on before, because it really does show the difference between us and our ocean cruising cousins. River cruising is obviously a much more intimate cruising environment. We are always within sight of land, and you are always in a different protocol every single day. Generally around breakfast, you arrive, stay right through till dinner, often late nights and overnights in some of these beautiful cities. Now, another great thing is we are a very innovative style company at Alma Waterways, always leading the way in innovation. And the reason we're doing that is because Rudy's not just one of our owners, but he's actually the architect and designer of every single one of our ships. And in our industry, he's actually referred to as the godfather of river cruising for always bringing out something new and pioneering to the river cruising vessels, including the first river cruise ships to have outdoor balconies, having the shallowest draft of any river cruise line, allowing us to navigate the water level issues, and also having a fleet of sister ships, meaning no matter which ship you go on, no matter when it was built, because our ships are refurbished every single off season, you get that same onboard Alma Waterways experience. But one ship I want to highlight just a bit differently is Rudy's pet project. For the past 7 years, he wanted to build this beautiful ship, which is unlike anything else the world of river cruising had ever seen. So again, leading the way in innovation, and it's the Alma Magna. She is the world's largest river cruise ship ever to be built. She's twice as wide as the regular river cruise ship, meaning she's got twice as many amenities. And this is really designed for any of you listening tonight who might be ocean cruisers, who maybe look to river cruising, no matter how much Sheila can convince you, to think, there's just not enough to do on board. I'll wait. Well, that's why the Alma Magna was built. She has 4 restaurants on board. These are all included, all different menus, including that alfresco dining experience. You've got a rooftop heated pool. You've got a hot tub. You've got multiple lounges, including a private movie theater. So multiple entertainment going on. And folks, we only added another 40 passengers to the vessel. So 196 guests at twice the space. And folks, some of the 4-star river cruise lines out there, I can tell you, have about 182 guests. So it's only 14 extra guests with twice as much space. And that's because the size of the suites start at 355 square feet and go up to 710 square feet. That truly is boutique ocean ship standard size. Now, on all of our ships, we brought out the signature twin balcony suites. We like to think we've perfected the balcony experience because we can't always control the weather. So if it's a bit cooler or a bit rainy outside, you've got the matching mirrored indoor French balcony that you're seeing in the top left-hand corner, table 2 chairs. So you're always able to enjoy the stunning views, no matter what the weather, no matter what the temperature. But of course, when it's beautiful outside, as the picture in the top middle shows, you can stand outside and enjoy all of the lovely views. And folks, there is always something to see on the rivers, day or night, right, Sheila? It's lit up like a Christmas tree in the evening. It is stunning to see during the day. So really, we sell from the top to the bottom because people really want that beautiful balcony experience. We do have 3 levels of accommodation. Of course, you got the picture window staterooms, French balcony suites, right up to those signature twin balcony suites. And Wi-Fi is complimentary throughout your entire cruise, no matter what device you decide to bring. Now, speaking of entertainment on our ships, of course, you got the main lounge. That's the main hub of activity. It's where the cruise manager gives his or her port talks. To our locally themed entertainment happens because, yes, every night when we are cruising, we've got locally themed entertainment, and then our onboard musicians play music into the later hours as well. And in addition, we've got some smaller lounges for you to relax in. Library lounge, fireplace and books to read, 24-hour cafe and lounge. So coffee, tea, espresso available complimentary whenever you would like. And of course, there's tapas also served throughout the day, complimentary for you to enjoy as well. But speaking of food, this is an area we truly do shine. It's an area we do like to brag about. You've got the main dining room in the top left-hand corner. It seats 170 guests, but we've got 156 guests on average on our regular ships. Now, you've probably not heard anybody come on to a presentation with Sheila before and say, there's something positive that's come out of COVID. Well, I'm about to tell you that, folks. So river cruising, of course, very different. The only way we were able to operate, and we did operate in 2020 and in 2021, but with obviously very enhanced health and safety protocols as laid down by the European Union, because we are always sailing within the confines of a country, meaning we must adhere to that country's health and safety laws. So much stricter much stricter protocols put in place on river cruising versus our ocean cruising cousins. But one of the things during COVID when the protocols were on was that no buffets were actually allowed. So this is what we normally do for breakfast at lunch. It'd have buffets, and then dining in the evening was a la carte. Well, now that those protocols have been lifted in Europe as of May 1st, all the other river cruise lines have gone back to their standard way of serving the food, which is buffets for breakfast and lunch, and then a la carte in the evening. But we decided we really liked that elevated dining experience. So you won't actually see any buffets anymore on an Alma Waterways vessel. So we're very excited about that. It's a la carte meal service for all of breakfast, lunch, and dinner. In addition to the main dining room, of course, you've got these private wine rooms, a bit of a quieter area for you to dine, and the chef's table at the back of the ship seats about 28 guests. Totally different menu than you're going to find in the main restaurant. And as you can see, it's a bit of an interactive culinary experience. The chefs are actually back there creating the meal right in front of you. And we make sure everybody gets a chance to dine in here at least once during their journey, because we won't take a second reservation from guests until everybody else has made their first reservation. Now, folks, if there's any of you out there tonight who are true foodies, you might be very familiar with one or both of these organizations, Table et Auberge et Chaîne de Rôdisseurs. These are the two oldest gastronomic societies in the world, and any true five-star restaurant really does want this accreditation attached to their menu. It's based on a restaurant's food, wine, and service. And folks, we are the only river cruise line to have ever received either of these designations. So we are very proud of that fact, and that really does speak to the food, wine, and service you will get on board an Alma Waterways river cruise.
Neil, let me ask you a question. Is the
Yeah.
Auberge designation new? I've not heard you mention
Yes,
that.
look at you picking up on differences between my presentations. It's not like Sheila doesn't know this presentation off by heart, but yes, it is new. Table et Auberge, we just received that designation in 2021. So that is the newest kind of gem in our little crown, which we are very, very excited about as well. So there you go. I'm very impressed, Sheila. You picked up something new in my presentation.
Well, I brag about the dining to my clients, especially when people are looking at differences between the river cruise ships. And I always talk about Alma's dining. So that caught my eye immediately. Thank you.
You've got another one to brag about now. It's perfect. Folks, some of the onboard services we've got. Of course, if you are the kind of cruiser likes to get a massage or get your hair done, there's that service available on board. We are the only river cruise line with a full-time wellness host on every single one of our ships in Europe, plus down on the Mekong. And these are offering, the hosts are offering complimentary classes for you to enjoy should you wish to do so, both on the ship and off the ship. So could be a yoga class or a stretching class on the top deck, could be a guided hiking or a guided cycling experience on shore. Now we've got about 20 or 25 bikes free of charge as well to take out in any port of call, should you wish to do so. And there are guided cycling tours on every single one of our cruises. Folks, I'm going to tell you right now, the Douro is always the exception to every rule. Now, if you've ever cruised on the Douro, it is beautiful. I don't even know the most serious cyclist would want to take a bike out in those steep valleys and areas and such. So that is the one area which we don't have bikes and such on, but there are some guided hiking experiences on the Douro to make up for it. So, and of course, our rooftop heated pool we have on all of our main ships over in Europe. On our smaller ships in France, of course, we've got the hot tubs, but great area to relax. But I always like to let everybody know that this is something very different if you've never river cruised before and maybe only ocean cruised. Now, the cruise manager might tell you about an amazing vintage of wine or a specialty liqueur that's only available in that next port of call. Folks, you can purchase that, bring it back on board your Alma Waterways cruise ship and enjoy it wherever you like, including up at the pool or in the main lounge. We really want you to be able to cruise exactly how you would like to do so. And we are really not about making any money on board. And that's obviously very different to a lot of our ocean cruising cousins. So, and of course, the pool, folks, it's open 24/7 the entire time you are cruising. And it is open our entire season from March right through till the end of December, when we do my absolute favorite river cruise experience, the Christmas Markets River Cruises. Now, yes, we do tend to turn the temperature up a bit more in November and December, but I always like to encourage my fellow Canadian travelers. Folks, if you are going to take one of the Christmas Markets River Cruises, please bring your swimwear, go up and enjoy the beautiful pool experience, because I can tell you, it's the perfect opportunity for you to meet your fellow Canadian travelers because we're the only ones using the pool at that time. Now, when I say Rudy is an innovator, this is a great slide. You don't really see this a lot of times, but we have onboard and onshore enhancements that we are adding every single year because, trust me, Rudy is never satisfied. If you ever sit at dinner with Rudy, he's always scribbling on a napkin because he's just come up with some new innovative idea. That is how the Alma Magna was actually born, from a conversation with guests saying, wow, I'd love it if a river cruise ship had these ideas. And he's like, well, I'm going to design it. So these are a few of the other enhancements he's added over the years to the ships. Now, drinks, folks, are always included with all of your meals, unlimited beer, wine, and soft drinks. But what we discovered is that guests would go off on their included sightseeing tour. And yes, every single day, there's a guided sightseeing tour included. We also put no more than 15 guests per tour guide utilizing the AudioVox system. That was a COVID enhancement, but again, something else positive that's come out of COVID, we are not increasing the tour group size. We are keeping to 15 guests as well. But we would find that guests would come back off of their included sightseeing tour in the middle to late part of the afternoon. And that's when guests would go back to their cabins, start getting ready for the cruise manager's port talk. That happens just before dinner. And they'd come down and they'd order a drink from the bar. So in 2018, we introduced Sip and Sail. Basically unlimited beverages, whether these are alcoholic or non-alcoholic, leading right up until dinner time begins. It's pretty much like a happy hour, folks. But I will say one of the best enhancements, in addition to the Alma Magna, would have to be the My Alma Cruise app. Now, this is an app designed for you to use both before, during, and after your river cruise experience. Now, of course, beforehand, it'll have all sorts of great information on your cruise, the ship you'll be going on. You can actually see all of your documentation in there. You can sign up for your shore excursions. But my favorite part of this app happens when you are on board, and it's the photo taking capability. Now, I will assume, of course, if you're all regular listeners to Sheila, that means you've all taken a guided tour at some stage in your life that Sheila has probably arranged for you. That means you've listened to a tour guide take you around an area, tell you all about those beautiful sights that you're seeing. And of course, you take picture upon picture upon picture to remember all of these beautiful sights. And you get back home after your 1 or maybe your 2-week vacation, and you start looking back through your hundreds and hundreds of pictures, and you look back through some of these going, I have absolutely no idea what that is, let alone why I took a picture of this place. Well, folks, if you take all of your pictures now through the My Alma Cruise app, all of the notes that the tour guide gave you on that day can automatically be linked to the pictures you took that day. Forms into your own digital photo album for you to look at back for years and years, and remember every part of your Alma Waterways river cruise experience. And with one simple click, it's uploaded to your favorite social media site, whether that is Facebook or Instagram. And folks, another great way that this app has as well, what better way than to let all your friends and family know, not only by posting your pictures, but you can actually send them a digital postcard of one of the pictures you just took through the app right off to your friends and family as well. So again, great way to communicate with them as well. Now, of course, this is just a map of all the different rivers that we cruise on. And like I said, we are going to focus on Europe because there's some incredible promotions on, but we are going to talk about our exotics programs as well. So the Danube River, of course, very popular river, probably the most popular river cruise choice for the first timers, but 80% of guests tend to do this. And you'll find cruises between 7 and 14 nights, either doing the upper Danube, the lower Danube, or what I like to refer to as the best of the West and best of the East. It's the 14-night experience on the Grand Danube, going from Wielsoven all the way down to Bucharest. Now, I do like to show this picture because it really shows all of the different variety of shore excursions that are all included. And as we know, Sheila loves to promote all of, whether it's active or more special interest in groups. So this really does work well for everybody who follows along with Sheila as well. So you'll see those little golden bikes. That means there's guided cycling tours on every single one of those days that you could choose from. You're going to see the little green hiking men. That means there's guided hiking opportunities that day. And you see the little purple grapes. That means there's actually winery tours, some special interest tours that you can do as well. These are all free, folks. You can decide what it is you would like to do. And in some of the larger cities and towns, there's up to 5 different choices. So it really does allow you to customize your touring on a river cruise. It also allows you to go to a couple places. Maybe you've been to Vienna before. Very, very popular. You can't possibly have seen everything Vienna has to offer. Well, we've got 5 different choices of tours. So you could actually go back to Vienna on a river cruise and see something different that you didn't get a chance to see the last time that you were there. Now, these are some of the highlights, of course, on a lower Danube or an upper Danube cruise, including the Iron Gates. These are the natural rock monolith boundaries that go between Serbia and Romania. Of course, we will cruise through that during the day. Budapest is always a great highlight. I like to say it's my absolute favorite city by night. And yes, you will always overnight in Budapest on our upper Danube cruises. That's the Parliament buildings in the background. Vienna is always a highlight. And like I said, folks, you can go back to Vienna year after year after year and always see something new. And it's great with our program. You've got all of those different choices. And Salzburg, always a popular daytime choice when you are docked in Linz, Austria. This is home to Mozart, home to the sound of music. And Wielsoven, Germany. Now you're probably all looking at me going, I've never heard of that. Why on earth is he highlighting this place? Well, folks, I'm going to tell you, it's kind of our home port. It's about an hour and 15 minutes outside of Munich. So it's very close and very easily accessible from that airport. But we overnight in Wielsoven to give you all something very uniquely German. And you may have heard of this. It's happened for centuries. It's the famous Bavarian Oktoberfest. Now, I know many of you might have said, I've always wanted to go. Well, folks, if you take an Upper Danube cruise with Alma Waterways, you get your own private Oktoberfest experience. We actually bring the authentic tent out right to the end of the pier. You get the local musicians, the beer, the pretzels. It's a true Bavarian experience just for you. And yes, there is always somebody local from Wielsoven Town Council to come and kick off every single event. And folks, we're in Wielsoven pretty much every day of the week. So we are keeping the local town council very, very busy as well. And of course, the Christmas market's very, very popular on the Danube. You've got all sorts of different choices. And like I said, every single day, it's a different Christmas market in a different town. It is not the same Christmas market over and over. I unfortunately did not know that the first time I took a Christmas markets cruise, bought all my things in the first stop thinking I'll get this out of the way now, and then I can just enjoy the rest of the cruise. I ended up having to buy a second bag in Cologne. But anyways, that is your piece of advice that you get now. Moving over to the Rhine and Mosul Rivers, you've got 7 up to 12 night river cruises along here. You'll see them all listed down there with the longer river cruises going on what they consider to be the most beautiful river in Europe, which is the Mosul River. Again, you see that same great map with the guided hiking tours, the guided cycling tours, the winery tours. So all sorts of different customizations to there. But folks, even during COVID, we actually brought out some new itineraries and experiences along the Rhine, including a year-round cruise in Holland and Belgium. Now, all the river cruise lines have done tulip time cruises for years and years, but this is actually a year-round experience. So it's actually going to a few different places that our tulip time cruise does not go to, including Castle de Haar that you're seeing here, one of the most beautiful castles in all of Europe. And we are the exclusive partners to Ancestry. So folks, if you have European background and heritage, you might want to look at this particular cruise that's going at the end of July. There'll be a pro genealogist on board, and they'll actually virtually meet with you before the cruise. Probably takes about 4 hours to get your full family history, and then you get presented with it on board, and you even get a customized tour off to where your family is from. And of course, some of the great highlights on the Rhine, Amsterdam, always an incredible city, and we always overnight in this city, so you get a chance to see everything that happens during the day and in the evening. There's just a shot of the Mosul River, which we will cruise through during the day, as well as the Rhine Gorge with those 21 beautiful medieval castles. And yes, before you go and ask Sheila saying, yes, I want a Rhine River cruise, and yes, I can't wait to see these castles, which side of the ship should I book my balcony suite on? 11 of the castles, folks, are on the starboard side, 10 of them are on the port side, so it makes absolutely no difference. As you can see in that picture in the top middle too, the river is very narrow through this gorge. So when you're sitting on your balcony, you're actually able to see down the river and see which side the castles are going to be on. So if you're traveling with friends, my recommendation, book balcony suites across one another. That way you can just pop over to their balcony and listen to the cruise manager give their little guided talk as well. Now, it's not all about big cities and towns. You get some beautiful villages and towns as well, including Rudesheim, one of my absolute favorites in the heart of the Wachau Valley. And of course, the Christmas markets are all through the Rhine as well, including Basel, which has 4 unique and distinct Christmas market experiences. Now, over to France and Portugal. These are highlighted a bit differently because these rivers are not interconnecting like the Danube, like the Rhine and the Mosel rivers. So all standalone rivers. Well, we've got 7-night river cruises on each and every one with 2 ships on each of these rivers, except in the Bordeaux where we have 1. These are slightly smaller ships between 100 and 140 passengers. Narrow rivers, not as easy to get your full-size ships in, and we really want to maintain that spirit of river cruising where you dock in the heart of every single city and town. Here's that great active map. You see guided cycling tours, guided hiking tours, guided tours off to a number of different chateaus and wineries as well. And yes, some new itineraries happened as well during COVID for France. And I got to go on this last December because they all know in my company that I love the Christmas markets cruises. And this is a brand new Christmas experience. We're calling it Winter Cruises on the Rhone. You know, France really does get into the festive spirit, but unlike the Danube and the Rhine, they don't really have a lot of Christmas markets. It's really all about them decorating the town squares, incredible sights to go up and see from a sightseeing point of view, but it's really all still focused on the shops and such in each of these cities and towns. So, but again, incredible experience and a ton of different light shows that are going on in these beautiful cities and towns. Of course, you can always do Paris before, after, or in between river cruises. Avignon on the Rhone and Saône, that's kind of the old capital of France. You've got the Bordeaux, stunning city lit up in the evening. And we do a nighttime cruise on the Bordeaux River for you to get a chance to see this beautiful city. And if you're taking the Seine River cruise, of course, a very historical area. And yes, we go off and take the Canadians off to the Juno Beach Center as well. And of course, over on the Douro River, World UNESCO listed heritage site, you'll always start in Lisbon, and then it's a 7-night cruise in between Porto and Vega de Tron, allowing you to go over to the Spanish city of Salamanca. And we're very excited, folks, because we, for the first time ever, have extended the Douro River cruising season. Normally, it would end after the first week of November, but due to popular demand, we've actually extended it for the entire season. So 7 additional sailings in 2022. And yes, folks, the big promotion I'm going to tell you about includes these 7 sailings in 2022 on the Douro. So sometimes people want to go over to Portugal for a long stay. You can easily do this with us as well. Do a Douro River cruise now, and then go off on your 4 or 6 or 8 week stay over on the Algarve. So, of course, we have beautiful wine river cruises where we bring a North American wine host over onto our cruises. They bring their North American wines, do some tastings, have a wine paired dinner on board. And of course, folks, you don't have to be a true wine enthusiast to enjoy wine river cruises. Sheila's heard this one before, but folks, all I know about wine is one is red and one is white. I couldn't tell you anything more beyond that because I drink beer. But I will tell you right now, I took a wine river cruise and I was amazed to discover how the history of wine really relates to the history of Europe and what the differences are between the old world and new world. So it really is an incredible cruise experience. Now, we started with 2 of those in 2009 just to see how the response would be. This year, we're operating 64 different wine river cruises. So very popular program. And Sheila mentioned, of course, this lovely journey. And like I said at the beginning, we are an innovator for a reason, not only with our ships, but some of the itineraries we bring out. And 7 River Journey was one that we invented last year as well. And again, it was in response to our guests saying, listen, I've taken some beautiful world cruises on these stunning boutique ocean ships from 30 nights up to 180 nights. And they're like, why doesn't that kind of experience exist on the rivers of Europe? A world cruise on the rivers, let's call it. We said, well, hey, why not bring it out? We're happy to always try something new. So we did. We brought this out last year, and it's called 7 River Journey. It's basically 45 nights, 7 different rivers, 14 different countries. Now, folks, we honestly had no idea what the response would be. We are bringing this out for 2023. This was our initial departure in June. And within 4 days of us releasing it, it was 97% sold out. So obviously, people like the idea. So what does any good company do, folks? We brought out 2 more departures for you. So we now have a spring journey, a summer journey, and a fall journey. But yes, these are all slightly different. The spring journey, for instance, spends 14 nights up in the Netherlands and Belgium. So really focused on that beautiful tulip time experience. Now, the summer one spends 14 nights over in the different rivers of France. So again, you get a much more in-depth journey into France. And the fall journey actually spends your last portion of the time, I believe it's for 20 of the nights, on the stunning Alma Magna. So they're all slightly different experiences. So certainly have a look at that. It is a true bucket list way of seeing the rivers of Europe if you'd like. But this is why we have lovely professionals such as Sheila, because we want to make them work even harder, right, Sheila?
Of course.
So folks, if you want to maybe go over to Europe for a month and you go to Sheila and say, listen, I'd like 21 nights to be on the rivers and 7 or 8 nights to be off on the land. Folks, we can put anything together. Now, just because you don't see it on our website or in our brochure does not mean it doesn't exist. Now, please go to Sheila. When I say I'm going to make Sheila work harder, I'm really joking, because all Sheila's going to do is email me and say, this is what they'd like. What are the combinations? Because our operations department put together an app. So let's say you want to do the 7-night Danube cruise for sure, but you want a few other things that could go along with it. That's easy. I plug it in. And then this app comes out with an Excel spreadsheet of every single possible combination, whether it's land, whether it's river cruises, all over the place that we can present to you to see all of these different combinations. Folks, you could do the Rhine. You could go from Amsterdam down to Basel, spend four nights in Switzerland, 3 nights in Paris, and then go do a 7-night Rhone and Saône River cruise down the heart of France. You can even add Portugal onto the back end of that as well. Very, very easy. So just because you don't see it does not mean it doesn't exist. And folks, with every subsequent river cruise, in addition to whatever the early booking offers are, you get another 10% off that consecutive cruise. And it does not have to be done. I don't like it when it says consecutive. It does not have to be done back to back, just on your one journey. So you could go over and do a Danube cruise. Maybe you've got friends in England, 2 weeks over there, come back and do a Rhine cruise. So easy to do. So just let Sheila know.
Yeah, I think I have, Neil, you and I were working on one lady who was doing a Bordeaux cruise and following up with another on the Seine. So we can do combinations. Right. She's spending 4 nights in Paris in between cruises. So it's...
Didn't you have somebody who wanted to do the 21-night France connection too, do the whole thing of France at one stage? So yeah. So it's great, these combinations. And these are really, really unique. So, and folks, I'm going to touch on our exotic rivers collection because we're very excited. These exotic rivers are truly bucket list items and honestly, the best way to see some of these third world areas, of course. So we'll start off with the Mekong. We were the very first North American river cruise line to have our own ship on the Mekong. So it really holds a special place in our heart. If you go down there, please do the full 15-day package. Go up to Northern Vietnam. It's very different to Southern Vietnam, very different cultural experiences because of the different times that they became a democracy. And then, of course, Cambodia, completely different as well. When you do these exotic rivers, folks, it's not necessarily about seeing all the beautiful castles and such that Europe is. It's really about experiencing life in these different countries, the foods, the transportations, all of the religions and such. And it really is an experiential river cruise experience. Now, the ship you'll be on, it's the Amadara. It does have all the same features that our European ships do. The twin balcony suites, the multiple restaurants. Looks a bit different because we don't have the same low bridges or locks to go through, so a bit more space, but only 120 guests on that beautiful ship. Now, the Chobe River, folks, this is, again, another unique experience to us. It's a wildlife river cruise experience, and it's an incredible way of seeing Africa. Of course, if you go there, the main reason is to see the wildlife. If you take a beautiful land safari tour, there's never a guarantee that you'll see all of the wildlife, but on a Chobe River cruise with us, we can actually make that guarantee because the Chobe River is the only watering hole between Namibia and Botswana, as you can see in the picture in the top middle, meaning all of the animals have to come to that river every single day to bathe and feed, and that's where you'd be sitting on the beautiful Zambezi Queen. Now, it's a much smaller river cruise experience. There's only 28 guests, 14 beautiful balcony suites. So again, it books a lot earlier, and I know our focus today is 2022, and we'll be talking about Europe and the great promotions, but I can tell you right now, these exotics, you'd probably be looking into 23 and even 24 because they tend to book at least 18 months in advance. And finally, folks, we've got Egypt. And I know Sheila mentioned that there's some folks interested in going on to the Nile. We're very excited because we brought our own ship onto the Nile River finally last September. It's a 7-night round trip cruise in and out of Luxor with 3 nights in Cairo at the beginning and a night at the end. And of course, pre-extensions available if you'd like to extend into Jordan or Dubai, and post extensions available into Israel. And again, just like with all of our exotics, it's really about the destination, and everything is included, including exclusive entries off to areas like Queen Nefertiti's tomb, and of course, the Sphinx tours and stuff like that. And it's on board the Amadara, only 72 guests on board, but again, multiple restaurants and the twin balcony suites. And I just realized that I did the slide, but Sheila alluded to it. We have a brand new exotics package coming out on the Magdalena River in Colombia, late 23, early 24. Again, it'll be a wildlife experience. We don't even have a lot of details on it yet, but it'll probably be a smaller boutique style ship, one with extensions off to the Galapagos and the Amazon. So very excited about that. But folks, I've teased you long enough about this incredible deal. So now it's time to tell you about this promotion. And like I said, the reason that Canadians are really kind of ringing us off the wall is because there are no more travel restrictions for Canadians to get back home. And that was the last hurdle that seemed to really be preventing people from traveling this year. They're all planning on their travels into 23 and into 24, but now it seems that they're ready to go for 2022. So we decided to bring out an incredible promotion for you, and it's something we've never done before. It's actually an air cruise inclusive package. So that is a little flyer, and Sheila will be able to send that out to you. But I'm going to go through this in a little bit of detail. Now I'm going to skip over this slide because even though this is what my head office wants to talk about first and foremost, I'm going to talk about option number option number one. So this is round trip airfare, and we've got over 15 gateways in Canada. So no matter where you are listening from, we are covering a major gateway. Trust me, Sheila and I were talking about this. This is a major hurdle that I had because normally my US based office sit there and say that, well, all of Canada will fly out of Toronto, Montreal, or Vancouver, won't they? I'm like, not quite, people. So we have 15 gateways. Almost every single province is covered. So we are very, very excited about that. And the promotion is round trip airfare and a 7-night river cruise in a French balcony suite. So not even the picture window staterooms. Yes, you can certainly upgrade if you'd like to the twin balcony suite, but this price that you're seeing there at $62.70 Canadian per person includes your round trip airfare. It includes your 7-night river cruise. It includes your transfers, and it also includes Travel Waiver Plus. And folks, I want to tell you what this is. It's a policy we've had in place long before COVID ever happened. But I like to say it's a reassurance policy. It's not insurance, it's assurance. And it basically allows you to take advantage of these amazing promotions when they come out, to book with full peace of mind, but know that in 2022, you can change your mind for any reason up until 24 hours prior to the sailing date and not be hit with any sort of cancellation or change fees whatsoever. So it really allows you to take advantage of this with Sheila and take full advantage of those. Now, we talked about the $62.70. Yes, that includes the Douro. This is where I always like to mention, maybe you're planning on going for a long stay over onto the Douro. You can take advantage of this package and get your airfare, folks, and go for 4 or 6 weeks and just pay probably a slight extension on the airfare. It's normally 30 days, of course, but again, great way to take advantage. Now, the main flyer is this one here, and it's talking about a price that's just over 7,000 Canadian per person. And what this includes extra is 3 nights land package. So let's say you want to do more than just the river cruise. Maybe you want to do Prague or Paris or things like that. That will cover your extended stay in those cities as well. So again, you've got a couple of different options. If you have your airfare already, that's not a problem. There's another price where you don't have to worry about airfare. Maybe you've got it on points and you can get that base price that you're seeing there of just over $5,000 for the French balcony suite, the Travel Waiver Plus, and your transfers as well. So lots of great options. There's over 100 different departures we now have on this flyer for 2022, including some, as Sheila noticed as well, because when this promotion first came out, we put about 30, maybe 35 departure dates on there. And they were probably mostly for November, maybe for some in July, but yeah, not our big ones. But now, folks, we've added them on. And I will tell you, the reason we probably added them on is because the Americans still have all the hurdles to jump through. They still have the testing requirements, quarantine things in place. The Canadians do not have that. So we decided to add this on to the Canadian promotion because a lot more Canadians going, yes, I'm ready to go. And at that price, how can I not travel this year?
Can I just mention too, Neil, you mentioned 15 gateways, but I have some folks on the call, some folks from St. John's, some folks from Victoria. It includes those gateways. So this is tremendous that it's not just Montreal, Vancouver, Toronto. It's covering the country, as you say. And also, I booked air for someone to Portugal last week. It was $1,700. Now, it depended on the dates you want to go and where you're going, of course, but you're not going to be able to buy air independently that inexpensively or be able to use points close in. So this is tremendous value.
Yeah, and you'll even see on the flyer there, when we're talking about the Douro, like I said, we've added on those extra sailings that we have, including into December. Folks, that is prime, obviously a holiday season going over there. So you could certainly go on a 1-week Douro river cruise and then do what a lot of guests do is take the month of January. They actually stay on the Algarve for 4 or 6 weeks. So you can actually take advantage of this air cruise package and just add the extra long stay on with Sheila that she can take care of for you as well, because you'll see the air goes right up until our December sailing. So lots of opportunities. You've got the Danube, you've got Holland and Belgium, you've got the Rhine cruises on there, lots of different ones for France as well. So really, really excited about this. This is good until the end of June. So folks, do take advantage of that. Like I said, we are not going to dismiss bookings into 23 or 24. It's already selling very, very well. In fact, we're already 44% sold out for 23. So it's something that really does book early. There are great early booking offers. Sheila's got all of those as well, if you're looking to book into 2023 as well. And folks, just so you know, these are all combinable. Sheila, like I said, she works for Lush Life, a division of Vision and Direct Travel. She actually has access to about 50 departure dates that she gets an extra amenity on as well. And folks, they are combinable. So if the More to Love promotion dates fall onto there, you'll actually get to take advantage of the $100 up to $300 onboard credit. And that is in euros. Really makes this an all-inclusive experience when you're able to book on one of those dates. So just get in touch with Sheila. She can try to do the math and see which dates work with her programs and such. And of course, if any of you are past Alma Waterways River Cruise guests, or I'm going to tell you right now, if you're past River Cruise guests of any company, I want to extend you a past River Cruise guests savings. So it's another $120 off. And like I said, I really want to extend it to any river cruise line that you've sailed on, because I am convinced once you go on Alma Waterways, you're never going to want to go back. But I don't want you to miss out on some of those other river cruise past guest savings as well. So keep that in mind. And Sheila didn't even know this was coming, but hey, I am going to extend as a special offer prepaid gratuities as well. So yes, Sheila, I'm going to throw it into your one that I know you have on hold. So
oh, thank you. I was just telling Neil it's a fantastic offer. It's all inclusive, but it doesn't include gratuities. So there you go. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate that.
No, see, that was a little surprise, a surprise thrown in there for you. So that is, folks, take advantage of that. I know that the air cruise promotion is good till the end of June, but this little special offer is only good for the next 14 days. So keep Sheila very, very busy. She'll be very happy. And then, of course, once you make your booking deposit down, then I will add the gratuities on as well. So, and like I said, this is the Travel Waiver Plus policy. You don't have to worry about that if you're taking advantage of the More to Love, because it's included and it's $175 normally per person. That just gives you full peace of mind. But like I said, on any of those departures for 2022, it's being included as well. So really gives you that full peace of mind as well. So
that's awesome. And as you've gathered the folks on the call, Neil and I have known each other a long time. He was with another river cruise company in the past. So this is why he's using his knowledge and experience to encourage you good folks to try Alma. So I really appreciate the $120 of loyalty to get people to try another river cruise. That's terrific. We do have a couple of questions typed in. If other folks want to either bring their cameras on and come on and ask Neil a question, or you can type it in the chat and I will ask him, please feel free. I will mention, I talked about meeting Kristen early on, I think my first Virtuoso Travel Week. And I mentioned that I caught her at the end of the day. I didn't have an appointment. When we go to Virtuoso Travel Week, you set up appointments for people. And I just wandered in. It was my first Virtuoso Travel Week. And she sat down with me and spent an hour of her time talking about the wine themed cruises at the time. And little did I know, I was keeping her late and she was nominated for an award and Amma won the best river cruise that night. So it was a very big night to her, and she just took the opportunity to sit down with me and educate me about the wine themed cruises. So I've never forgotten that. I really appreciate that. But it just goes to show the relationships and the value that Amma puts on working with us as travel advisors. So that's fantastic. Okay, we have a question about the Rhine Gorge. Which river cruise is it that visits the Rhine Gorge?
So all of our Rhine River cruises, with the exception of the Best of Holland and Belgium and the Tulip Time, because they are focused on just the Netherlands and Belgium, but every other Rhine River cruise we have. So the Captivating Rhine, the Enchanting Rhine, the Rhine and Moselle Fairy Tales, the Rhine and Moselle Splendors, and the Rhine Castles and Swiss Alps. They will all go through the Rhine Gorge. So that tends to be kind of your linchpin on the Rhine. Sometimes if you're going down and just doing the Rhine and Mosel ones, of course, you still transit through Rudesheim, which is, of course, just outside where the Rhine Gorge is. So yeah, everything except for the Netherlands and Belgium ones that are focused on those will go through the Rhine Gorge. So
terrific. And another question about the 21 castles. Which cruise is that?
That's on any of the ones that I just mentioned. So those are all the Rhine Gorge is on all of those ones. You just won't see them on the Netherlands and Belgium. But like I said, if you take the best of Holland and Belgium, you get to go to Castle de Haar, which is absolutely stunning castle, of course, for you to see in the Netherlands too. So
awesome. Well, we're waiting for, if anyone has a question, please turn on your mic and feel free to ask. Raise your hand if we get more than one at the same time. But otherwise, I'll ask another question. I know your love of beer. Emma's great for wine, people who love wine, but obviously you enjoy the wine, but there's still plenty of beer on board as well, right, Neil? There's
great microbrews. And I can also tell you that some of our new ones, we are starting to bring out some different themed itineraries that we are doing, including classical music, one that's focused on art. And because there's such a huge growing popularity for all the microbreweries in Europe as well, you're going to start seeing some of those themed tours as well to highlight microbreweries and stuff along the way. And again, the way these cruises work, you don't have to necessarily want to do a tour with that theme every single day. You'll just have those tours as additional included tours if you'd like to go off and do that. But if you want to go off and see something that else, you can always do that. It just gives you an enhanced touring experience on those selected cruises. So.
And the beer and wine, sorry, Colin, did you want to, you're on mute if you were, oh no, you're just talking to Cindy. Okay, no problem. They're an example of the husband enjoys the beer and the wife enjoys the wine. So I asked that question for them. With your excursions too, there's a shore excursion included in every port. For those that want to do something additional, do you charge for any shore excursions or are they all included?
No, the only excursion this has changed over the years. We used to have optional excursions they want to. Now there's no longer any optional excursions. The only exception to this rule is in Vienna in the evening. Vienna is obviously world famous for their opera performances. Now, we know that not everybody is an opera fan, and some people would rather go jump in the Danube than go watch an opera performance versus possibly going and enjoying this. So that is the only reason we don't include that. We know that that's very specialized. So the opera excursion is not included. Otherwise, all the other ones are included. And you can choose what it is you want to do. They'll never be sold out. And we've got active pace right up to relaxed pace. So if anyone has any sort of mobility issues, we always have relaxed, gentle pace tours going as well. So everybody gets to enjoy the touring exactly how they would like to do so.
We have my friend Julia on here who loves France. You and I have talked before about your Grand France that you're putting together.
Yep.
Right now, it's more build it as you go, right? So for those that want to do more than one river in France, that's still a possibility?
Yeah, definitely. So basically, we initially only had one ship on each of these rivers. Now, recently, we've added a second ship onto the Rhone and Saône and a second ship onto the Seine. But the original sister fleet all start and end their cruises on the same day. So a 21-night Grand France cruise is very easy to do because you'll start and end, take the TGV high-speed train. So basically the way this would work, you'd probably start in Paris. You would go and do the Seine River cruise. So 7 nights in and out of Paris. Then you would take the TGV high-speed train from Paris down to Lyon and join the Rhone and Saône cruise because it's about a 2-hour journey on the TGV train. So it's very, very easy to transit on the same day. You end up in Avignon and then you take the TGV high-speed train from Avignon to Bordeaux, which is just under 3 hours. So very, very easy to do the 21 nights in France and get that beautiful Grand France itinerary. And of course, you always have the opportunity to do Paris at the beginning of it all. So if you want to spend a bit more time in Paris at the beginning, you could do that. And by finishing in Bordeaux, you actually have the unique idea of going over into San Sebastian and Bilbao in Spain as a port, as a post package as well. So really comprehensive experience that you can do. And it actually works on every single one. So even though I've been working on asking marketing for a flyer, but I can only get so much out of them because I think they get sick of me asking them questions and asking requests every week. But folks, it can be done on every single one. So it's never an issue. So if you're interested in doing that, and you don't have to do 21 nights, you could just do 14 nights as well. So super easy.
The Grand France got Julia's attention. She's asking how late in the year can that be done?
So the Grand France can be done right up until, trying to think when the last Bordeaux cruise is, October. So yeah, you could do it as far as going early October to get the 21 nights in all the way through. So
awesome. We have not mentioned two big events this year in Europe. Are you still promoting Floriade and Oberammergau?
Yeah, Floriade definitely is still going. It is the world's largest horticultural event. Only happens every 10 years. It's taking place in Amsterdam this year. And every single tour that you do, or every single cruise that you do that has Amsterdam or the Netherlands included, does have an option to go over and see the Floriade Expo as well. And then, of course, the other big one is Oberammergau. We don't actually have anything set up ourselves for Oberammergau, but Sheila can obviously get tickets if you're looking to do that. It was actually supposed to happen in 2020. It's, again, another every 10-year event that happens. It's been going on for hundreds of years, but it got pushed back and pushed back. So it's happening in 2022 this year. I believe they'll actually be going back and coming back in 2030. They like that every 10-year cycle on the decade thing. But so it'll get a couple of years chopped off, but two very unique and very huge programs happening in Europe this year. So
if anyone has a question, I'm reading a couple from the chat, but do feel free to turn on your mic and ask Neil while we have him. I'll just wait a beat here. But let me ask a question about Egypt for my client who couldn't come on. You talked about the Nile, you talked about the ship, and the fact that the food is still fantastic. The extensions allows someone to do Egypt as well as Jordan and Israel, right? With those add-ons?
Yeah, so you can do either pre-package, you can do an escorted package. And remember, folks, when you do an escorted land package before or after, it's escorted by the Alma Waterways cruise managers. So that's something unique to us, as opposed to just having local guides and having to deal with the hotel concierge. It's that same cruise manager that is with you on the ship, who will also be with you on your extensions. So for Egypt, the 4-day, 3-night extended package is based on Jordan. That's the escorted one. The Dubai package is not, it happens at the same time. We do have guests who say, listen, I like to do both Dubai and Jordan. You can technically do that. You do Dubai first, then Jordan, then the cruise. Israel always has to be done as the post package. And that's just due to that little political thing between Egypt and Israel. So you can't actually enter Egypt if you have an Israeli stamp in your passport within 60 days. So that's why Israel's always done at the end. People always say, well, I'd like to do Israel beforehand. I'm like, well, that's great, but you can't do our cruise. So.
Yeah. Quick question about, this is generally a product for above 18, but you sometimes welcome younger clients?
Yes, on all of our products, we can certainly welcome younger guests. It's not the norm for us. We don't say that they're not allowed on because, folks, we don't have any tours that really cater to younger kids. So if the children are, 14, 15, 16, they're going to appreciate the tours, the heritage, all that kind of stuff, then certainly bring them on. But over in Europe, for instance, we are actually partners with Disney. So Adventures by Disney actually exclusively use our ships for their river cruise programs. They actually charter our ships, about 8 or 10 departures that they do every year. And those are the ones, if you've got younger kids, who I would steer you towards, because obviously it's geared more towards families being on the river cruise experience. So.
And the ships that Disney charters actually will allow some connecting cabins and a couple of triples, I believe, right?
Yeah, and we can actually do that on our regular ships as well. So if you have anybody, if you want a triple in on Europe or connecting rooms, very unique, not something you usually hear of, but we kind of remodel our ships in one of our off years because we had the Disney contract, and obviously they needed triples, quads, and connecting rooms. So you can actually even do that on our regular cruises as well. Awesome. In Europe, sorry.
In Europe, not the Mekong.
Let me push and say in Europe.
Yeah.
The exotics don't have these. These are much smaller ships. They don't have all these the same functions and stuff. But yes, in Europe for any of those. So,
question about solo travelers. Does this promo have anything for solo travelers?
It does. So the normally the reduced single supplement we would have on the picture window staterooms. So the lead-in fixed windows would be 25%. And then normally it's 50% supplement on any of the French or twin balcony suites. With the promo, it's actually a 25% single supplement on any cabin type. So So that is in there. Now, also remember, we've actually got a couple of opportunities. If you cruise over to France, we've got 4 ships over in France where they have 2 dedicated French balcony suites for singles with no single supplement. So those are also a way of going and looking at that for the solo travelers as well to take advantage of.
So that's the cello, the viola.
No, cello, lira, Dante, and the. Why would you test my knowledge?
I know. I just
cello, lira,
Dante,
and the. There's another one. Trust me, there's 4 sisters.
Yeah, I'll look it up. Sorry, I mixed this up when I said the viola because that's the family one. My mistake. Yeah. So it's the 4 in France. Have the
4 of them in France. Yeah, 1 on the Seine, 1 on the board, 2 on the Seine, 1 in the Bordeaux, and 1 on the Rhone and Saône. So
awesome. Folks, any other questions while we have Neil? We're just about up for time, but certainly have a question. Please feel free to ask or type it in, whatever you choose.
Well, folks, hopefully we see you all on board with this incredible promotion out for this year. Definitely take advantage of it. Keep Sheila busy for the next 14 days if you want those free gratuities too.
It would be my pleasure to help, and especially I have a couple of courtesy holes. That's great. That'll make it a little bit better. And of course, the prepaid gratuities is probably about what, 200 a person, depending on the length of the cruise.
Yeah, about 190 Canadian is what it works out to. But you know what, folks? Obviously, that's a promotion we're putting out at this stage. But I can tell you can always add gratuities ahead of time. It's always something, because if you add it ahead of time, it's in Canadian. If you add it and take care of it over there, it's in euros. So it's always to your advantage really to add that on ahead of time anyways with Sheila. So. Okay.
Awesome. Julia has a travel agent question, so I'll get back to you about that separately.
I see her question, and instead of saying it out loud, I'll say, yes, Julia, email me.
She's new to the river cruise world, so we have to introduce her to the wonderful travel advisor portal that you have that has all that information. Sharon has a question here. Oh, thank you. You're most welcome. Okay, if there are no more questions, Neil, thank you so much for your time again, my friend. I really appreciate it.
Good to see you as always.
This is a terrific value for those of you that have joined and those of you that are watching it on recording. We have it till June 30th. Like anything, it's the kind of thing while the occupancy is there, you kind of grab it because, you know, Europe is still very popular. The only thing we didn't mention, Neil, that some of my clients have asked is about safety. And obviously you're not doing or are you doing the lower Danube? You are, right?
Yeah, we definitely are. So yeah, I just did the lower Danube less than 3 weeks ago. So yes, of course, folks, with regards to any time, obviously COVID, obviously the situation in Ukraine, Russia, things like that. If there was ever any threat to passenger safety, we would never operate a river cruise in that area. Now, it's very different, the reaction that Europe has to what North America has. I was just in the lower Danube 3 weeks ago, cruising from Budapest to Bucharest. And of course, people are always saying, well, it's so close to the Ukraine. Folks, it's a very, very unfortunate situation that's obviously happening in the Ukraine, but this is a situation that is pretty much going to be contained into the Ukraine. If you were to ask the Europeans, they have absolutely no worries about traveling all in these border countries because they know that this conflict is not going to go outside of those borders. Much like the horrible tragedies that happened in Yugoslavia, never left the borders of those countries as well. So if you watch European news and stuff, it's definitely more realistic versus the sensationalistic news media coverage we have over here in North America, making them think that, impending doom is about to happen. Folks, I was in Bucharest. You would have absolutely no idea what was going on. It's still over 1,200 kilometers away from any area of conflict. So again, not an issue, but yes, if there's anyone with any concerns, I can definitely put those to rest. There is not a need for worry at all. So
you're still operating into Bucharest, which is the lower Danube, the middle to upper Danube, Budapest up to Vienna, up to everything's operating according.
Yep. And I will tell you as well that those tourism boards, Romanian tourism boards, Serbian, obviously Hungarian, all of whom are taking in a lot of Ukrainian refugees, they've actually come out to all the river cruise lines saying, please encourage your guests to still travel because it's them traveling. It's those tourism dollars that actually allow us to take in the Ukrainian refugees and obviously take care of them as well. And we're doing our part as well by doing this because we've actually taken one of our ships out of service for the 2022 season. It's docked in Amsterdam, and we're actually housing Ukrainian refugees on board as well. So
That's right. That's right. Thank you for reminding me of that. That's an important point. I had that in my newsletter a couple of weeks. I think that's tremendous.
Yeah.
Are you still doing the frontline thing for nurses? Or?
Yes, we still are doing the Frontline Heroes promotion as well for 2022. So again, if you're a Frontline Hero, get in touch with Sheila because there's special offers for you as well.
Special offers for them. And two things I don't think we touched on. One, you're the only river cruise company that operated all through the pandemic, correct?
Yes. So in 2020, we were able to operate just for our European passengers. Obviously, they're the only ones who were able to get over there. But yes, we were excited. So we were operating all within, and folks, we're also the only river cruise line whose sole focus is river cruising. We do not have an ocean cruising division to worry about. We don't have a coach train division to worry about. Our sole focus is to bring the best luxury river cruise experience to you that's possible.
And the other thing of my two things, you are the only company that fully owns all of its ships and has no debt.
Yes. So again, when Rudy designed his company, designed it with a number of things in mind, but we actually build and pay for our ships upfront in cash. We don't carry any sort of debt with building any of our ships. And these ships cost anywhere between $40 and $75 million a ship to build. We don't use any sort of creditors to finance the building of our ships. And this is why we were able to operate throughout COVID. This is why I still have my job throughout the entire COVID. I did not get laid off. It's just due to the design of the company. We had over $1 billion in assets. So allowed us to bring out those new itineraries and experiences even during the COVID period. So
that's one concern that I hear from a lot of clients, especially those that are starting to venture into Europe again. They're concerned that the company is going to go bankrupt. They're concerned the company doesn't know how to handle the pandemic. They're concerned that the company laid off all their staff and they don't have staff. Alma has come through it and we're the first to test how to sail in a pandemic. And you were the first guys to put up those glass or plexiglass, but also test how to what happens in rafting during a pandemic, right? Are you still not going through the ships? For those of you that don't know, it's quite common for river cruise ships to tie up together. So you actually have to cross over one or two ships to get to shore. You guys were actually testing that, right? So is it still that you don't go through the center of another ship?
Yeah, so there's still some protocols in place. Yes, we aren't allowing any guests from other ships to pass through our ships. They would have to pass up and over the outside decks in order to disembark as well. So they're still taking some protocols and precautions in place for sure for travel this year. But like you've never heard, I know it's very unfortunate with my ocean cruising cousins, you've probably heard of some outbreaks and such on some of the larger ocean ships, or they may have been detained. You've not heard of anything that on not just us, but on any of the river cruise lines. And that's due to the design of the ships. It's fresh air into every single public and private space. And with a much smaller, obviously, passenger count on there, you know, you're in protocol every single day. It's much easier for us to control the situation. And the European Union puts down these protocols. Obviously, when you're in an ocean ship, you're out into international waters. They don't have a regulatory board once they're out in these international waters as to what protocols they have to abide by. Whereas on a river cruise ship, we have to, or we're not allowed to operate within those countries. So,
and everything has eased up now, of course, but when the rules were still changing every 5 minutes, and thank God that's over. But when they were, if Alma was sailing through Austria and Germany, and Austria might have had different rules than Germany, you met the higher requirements.
Always the highest one to make sure that everything was covered. So, yeah.
Thank you very much, my friend. Appreciate your time and your energy and patience. If anybody has any questions, please follow up with me. It would be my pleasure to get you on board an Alma cruise.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Neil.
Thanks, Sheila.
Take care, everyone.